What's going on, guys? Isaiah here from Goo Gaming, and today I have Logan and Noah with me, and we're going to go over the Exosister deck with the inclusion of Martha. Exosisters is probably going to be one of the best Tier 1 decks we have this format, with the ability to play cards like D-Shifter. There's a lot of hand traps and make so many crazy XYZs. I think the deck's going to be really good. Let's go ahead and get into the deck. Alright, guys, so jumping straight into the Exosister card by card, we have 3 Ash, a DD Crow, 3 D-Shifter, 3 Nibiru, 3 Ellis, 3 Martha, 3 Stella, 2 Sophia, 1 Irene, a Call by, an Arment, 3 Packs, 3 Pots, a Temple of the Kings, 2 Triple Tactics Talent, whatever this is, Latanya, 2 Vedas, and 3 Imperms. Alright, no, so explain the Exosisters to us.
Okay, so first off, all of them besides Martha have the same effect. While they're on the field, if your opponent moves something out of either graveyard, they can cheat one of the Exosister rank 4s on top of them. So it's very powerful. Martha, the only one being like, if a card is moved from either graveyard, period. So like if you activate something to move something from the graveyard, she would trigger. She's the new one that's coming out of Power of the Elements, and it's what making the deck like tier 1, tier 1.5, extremely, playable. So the hand trap lineup is just, most of them are like very powerful, can be activated under shifter minus DD Crow. It's what's going to help like fight the metagame. If we didn't want to play shifter, we would be moving towards 3 DD Crow, probably some form of Veiler, Ogre mix up, just stuff that helps beat those decks, probably Ghost Bell, potential things like that. For the monster lineup, for the Exo Sisters, 3 Elise, it's the one that's summoned off of Malfa, or whatever her name is. It's also an extender in hand. 3 of the one next to Malfa. What's her name? Stella. I'm terrible with these names. 3 Stella. Stella is really good, and because she's like another extender. If you don't open Malfa, she can cheat one out. And then the Sophia is a draw card, like super good, like once per turn draw. Whenever you activate like Vardis, if you have the opportunity to activate on your turn, you can summon her and the other one. It's a free draw, and then you can put back an Extra Sister monster with Irene to draw another card. It's really good, but Irene's like actively the worst one because it forces you to have something that's also not any form of a extender. So that's why it's the one of. I almost forgot to mention. So Elise and Sophia, if either of them are on the field whenever they trigger their effects, you gain 800 life. So it's like the potential to win in time is very fortunate because it definitely comes up. And then, but for the most part, the monster lineup is pretty generic. For the spells, 1 call by, the 1 armament, and then the packs, triple pot, 1 temple, 2 tactics. Like this is a pretty standard line. I guess the only thing that's not standard would be Temple of the Kings. This is like a little spicy thing that I saw that I thought was really good. Like all your traps actually are pretty aggressive. So it's like going first, it's like a combo starter, or like going second, you can use the other trap to help break, which is just, it's what this deck needs. Its roughest time is going second. So that's just like one of the things the deck needed. And then, like prosperity, help dig for tactics or other things to help push your board. Tactics is just like a good going first card, going second card, even playing field. So the trap lineup is Latania and Imperm. Imperm's just like another good hand trap that we can play that under shifter. And then we're currently running 2-2 now. It's going to be test to see if we need more in a grind game. But I think as far as like playing in the competitive scene, like this is enough. Like our ending board, like what we usually run down is pretty beefy. So it's like our OTK potential on the follow up is fairly high because of how many things we can banish. But for the most part, the main deck feels, just like a safe bet for as of right now. Like moving forward, it's gonna be changed most likely, but as of right now, this is solid. So let's take a look at the extra deck. We have one Constellar Omega, one M7, one Zeus. That's like the whole Zeus package. One Exoton Knight. Exoton's super powerful if like get it off against trap decks. We have two oh I don't know these names. I'm just gonna two of this one. This is the Abyss Dweller, and then on your turn, detach. It can bounce. This one is the effect negation, and then you can detach to make all of them gain plus 800 attack for the rest of the turn, like even if they leave the field. Then two of this one. This is the Monster Searcher, and then on summon, your opponent can't. Neither player can special summon stuff out of the graveyard, which is really good. And then this one is the Spell Trap Searcher, and then the turn summon, banish a card out of the field of grave. This is like the best one. This is like the one you want to end on in the combo. So it can attack twice. I believe it's not. I think this one is the non-targeting one. It's a banish one on field or engrave, and then whenever your opponent activates something, you can summon what's under it. Like you target what's under it, detach, put it on top of it, and then that way you can go back into the Spell Trap Searcher to banish another card. Super powerful. And then when we have like rough situations where you don't think you can push further, Baguska is really good to sit on. So we can go over the stuff that's in the side deck right now. These are like other options you can have for the future. Like I talked about, if you didn't want to play main deck shifter, you can always play 3 DD Crow. DD Crow is very powerful. Gamma, we're considering Gamma as a side deck card potentially for going second because it removes the card. It's fairly powerful. We can't really main it because Malphia locks you into your only Exosister monsters. So that's like super important for lines because like if you go reveal Malphia and they ashed and you Gamma, then you can't. I'm not sure if you can even activate Gamma because of how the card works, or like Malphia wouldn't resolve something like that. And then so Reaper. This is a deck that can potentially play this card because the Zeus package doesn't always come up because of the lockout. The same for Exoton and Baguska. So if you decided to play Reaper, you could cut those easy, adding in, the tier element monster, the elf or sprite, maybe even the rank 2 or Toad, just depends on how you want to go about it. And another thing that since you're playing the Zeus package, you could also cut that package for Alina, Celine, and Access Code. Like that whole package is also very good because if you're forced into the situation where you need to kill them like on the rip way more efficiently through more stuff, like that's pretty good. And then Crossout. Crossout is a really good card because this deck has a problem versus Nibiru. Like there's definitely lines to play around it, such as specialing Malfa, summon monster, normal summon overlay, adding the trap to sort of like hang in there. You already have like a Malfa left on field, so if anything's banished, you can go into something else to interact with your opponent. Plus the trap you added, you can either get Vardis for the 2 more summons as far as like recursion / interaction, or you add the other trap and you banish something and then you overlay something on top of the monster you left on field. So that's more interaction. But Crossout definitely has like potential. It's played in the OCG as well, which is it makes sense. It's very powerful. Now, D Fisher, Necro Valley, Secret Village of the Spellcaster, Macro, and Metaverse. These are all like very powerful potential going first cards that could be played in the deck. They're just like the way you interact with your opponent in this deck is it's pretty straightforward. You set up like a monster and a trap that banishes 4 cards. It's just like it's cut dry. So things like D Fisher to like it doesn't affect us. Necro Valley doesn't affect us. Secret Village is something that's a little more spicier. Like if you set up like one of the 4s and an extra deck monster, that's a lot better because all the extra deck monsters are warriors, so it doesn't lock them out. But if you have Vardis or just like other things to establish with it, it just helps you from being beaten things by like Dark Ruler, not so much drop them that's just established on your first turn, like versus second turn with Metaverse. Regeki, like Regeki is fairly good against this deck because there's not really much of a response. It forces them to have both traps instead of just one. And then macros the same as D Fisher. It's just a powerful, like most decks need to interact with their graveyard, especially Sprite and Tier Element. So like having those are just like win conditions. And then another thing that could be considered for going first is Solemn Judgment. So this deck, like I said, it sets up straight banishes, but it has no negation. So that's like a concern. So that's something that could also be considered be mained or sided as a 3 of going into like going first game 2s or 3s. So that's like something big for the deck and how it functions. But other than that, the deck feels very powerful. It's the way it moves through hand traps feels very good because like their interaction points aren't as bad as like most people would think. The fact that the rank 8 can attack twice is freaking huge. And then the rank 4 one of that buffs it by 8 attack, making it a 36 that can attack twice. I thought that was really cool. Something honest in the deck, just because you attack honest and then like its second attack keeps the honest buff. So like that'd be a potentially cool lethal. But that's for the most part, that's what I got.
This deck is a true control deck, unlike like a lot of decks in the past, and like this deck gets a lot better like once it goes past turn 1. If you can get past turn 1, and I think that's a reason to play the traps, because they just allow you to play through nib and stuff a little bit easier.
Yeah, I feel like this is the like we were talking about the other day how this is going to be closer to like a triangle format, and I feel like this is the like full version of the triangle, and the other two decks are like the power deck. All right, guys, and that is our take on Exo Sisters going into this format. I really think this deck is going to be a really good control deck for the format. Once you get past that turn 1, like you said, you're going to have like a wheelhouse for the meta. I don't think a lot of people are expecting this deck to be so insane, and D-Shifter's is a really good card, and being able to main deck this card with so much power behind it is really insane. But thank you to Noah, fellow Ghoulist, for helping us out with the deck file, and that's going to be it for today's video, guys. We'll catch you guys in the next.